Hello, 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 everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat. How are y'all doing? Welcome to Arc 3, Episode 5, Broken Glass and Blood. I am your GM and executive producer, Connie. My pronouns are they, he, and she, and I am so proud to bring you this next installment of Transplanar RPG, our all-transgender, people of color-led, 100% homebrew Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition live-streamed actual play campaign set in an original non-colonial anti-orientalist world. You can find me on Twitter and on Itch and on Patreon, woot woot, at by Connie Chang, BYCONNIECHANG. I'm also a professional GM with Magpie Games curated play program. So as a reminder, we do stream our D&D campaigns live right here on Twitch Saturdays at 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time. That's 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and I think like 9 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, but don't quote me on that. And with that out of the way, let's do introductions. Pass it along to Devin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Devin. I use they, them pronouns. I am a musician, linguist, and the artistic director of Shout, Minnesota's trans and gender diverse voices in all trans choral group. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Shout Minnesota. Minnesota, don't you know? I am also, hopefully, trying to be the most active member of our Discord server. If you would like a link to the Discord server for because of some recent events for some safety reasons, just ask in chat and one of our mods will post it there or DM it to you privately. The exclamation Discord command, unfortunately, is not available for right now. So, and if you try and it does work, don't use that link. It's not going to work. We've disabled that one. Don't even try. We can see it when you try. You know, we can't actually see it when you try, but don't try.
I can see it.
C is C. Is there anything else? What else do I do? Nothing yet. And with that, I'll pass it to Erica.
Hi everybody, I'm Erica, she, her pronouns. I play Vinoxers, the high elf sorcerer who's a charlatan. She will steal your heart and then steal your gold and probably burn down your house if you break up with her. And yeah, you can find me at anywhere, any social media platform at Erica New Girl. I do stream here on Twitch. I play a lot of horror games quite often, but we try to just have a really good fun time and say some lewd but not rude things. So if that's your jam, come check me out sometime. With that, I will pass it on to Max.
Hello, I'm Max. I go by they them pronouns. I play Bird Dad Dewey Quirk, and you can find me doing my mostly pretty gay sewing shit on Etsy and Instagram at Stitchmonger. Come check out all the Pride flags I'm making. Happy Pride. I'll pass it to C.
Hi y'all, my name is C. I use they, them pronouns. I'm a dancer, digital artist, tabletop RPG streamer, and I play your local god, Taxi Okahye. You can find me streaming art and also Dungeons and Doodles, which is a part talk show, part art stream on my personal channel, pi_sharp, on Tuesdays and Fridays at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, or 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, whatever it is that you want to do. I am also doing an art raffle to celebrate 400 followers on Twitter, so check out my Twitter, pi_sharp_art. To get in on that, all you got to do is retweet and also be following me, and then I might make you some cute couple art like the one I did of V and Rev, or cute your character here with their pride flag. So up to you. Good. Oh my gosh, Erica! Every time you put it up, I get so shy. I go, wow. Wow, I'm gay. Anyway, not to just literally squeal on stream, but here we are. I will pass it back to Connie.
I'm actually going to pass it back to you, C, to tell us about our merch store.
Back to me. So if you want something like what Erica just flashed on the stream, you can use the exclamation point merch command in chat to get your Transplanar merchandise from our Redbubble store. This Pride season, you can wear cute shit cow stickers. You can wear cute Transplanar merch. And you could get a Dalapathi Saeed apron like Tristan has, or will have very shortly. And now I'll pass it over to Erica because I know what comes next after that announcement.
Yes, we love to thank people here at Transplanar for subbing, gift subbing, and cheering. And these are those folks during Arc 3, Episode 4. Crude Imposter Nightbright, J. John Sick, Starchmonger, RPG Apparel, and yikes, it's Tristan. Moving on to this episode, we have a 25 sub goal. 5 subs nets us a point of collective inspiration. 15 subs gets an auto crit on the board that anyone can use, including the GM. And 25 subs unlocks the ultimate prize. One of us has to monologue in character about the situation at hand, no matter where or when it happens. Everyone else has already gone, so guess what? Devin will be the next to monologue, so let's get that pumped up there. And with that, Max,
Who's that? Whomst? I don't know who that is. They're not here.
we see you. We see you. And with that, so much happened last week. Max, could you please refresh us?
Will do my best. As a reminder, you can get to the more extensive recap document than what I'm going to say by going to bit.ly/transrecap or by using the ! Recap command in the chat. Here is my best guess at what happened last time. Dewey spills everything to his old mentor Tonga, who tells him the runestones he can use to help defuse the bomb watch are deep within the Klathau Jungle, where the cursed Carnival is. V has another explosive confrontation with Sievert, burning down yet another building and disappearing with the blood he wanted from her. On the way back to Raso, the Princess of Leaves reveals to Manaia that her inaction led to hundreds of townspeople dying during a harsh winter. And finally, Oka demands Sambaya give them Dream Hunter, the sword. If anyone finds out Sambaya stole it, the consequences would be dire, and Oka couldn't bear that. They instruct her to blame everything on them, and they vanish. They experience some disturbing new nightmares, and show back up at the hotel looking rough. Devin, give us an ominous clue about next episode. This episode.
Oh, this next episode? Oh,
This
everyone
one.
dies. Rocks fall, everyone dies. Spoiler alert, by the way.
Ominous.
So, as always, our episodes have titles. That's it. Connie, would you? I'm kidding. And the titles of our episodes are taken from poems or songs written by queer, trans, or people of color. The title of this episode is Broken Glass and Blood, which is from Riot by Gwendolyn Brooks. The full verse reads as follows. I'm going to pause my music so that I don't get distracted by it, because it's very intense. And in terrific touch, old averted doubt jerked forward decently, cried, Kabat, John, you are a desperate man, and the desperate die expensively today. John Kabat went down in the smoke and fire and broken glass and blood, and he cried, Lord.
Thank you, Devin. A very intense, good poem by Gwendolyn Brooks. And now moving on to the session itself. Some content warnings for our campaign, and this particular session in particular may include deforestation, human sacrifice, homelessness and houselessness, poverty and classism, a refugee crisis, natural disasters, economic injustice, alcohol and substance use, addiction, death of loved ones, memory loss, body horror, gore, fantasy violence, emotional trauma and baggage, self-destructive behavior, bloodletting, cults and cult-like behavior, and anxiety and panic attacks described in detail. So with that out of the way, as a reminder, you can always use !CW in chat to pull up a reminder of content warning so you can take care of yourself how you need to. Let us begin our session. And I know y'all have missed music, so here we go. The sky is sundered and red. The sun hangs low on the horizon, the rays of Gal Tanger blotted out by innumerable massive wings, belonging to the stranger. Its hundreds and thousands of swiveling eyes covering every inch of Andake's atmosphere. Its body punches toward the sky like a broken blade, all sharp edges and blood, more beautiful and terrible than anything the eight of you could have imagined. The bodies of your comrades, soldiers, fighters, good people, lay strewn across the red rock. Your gods are gone. They cannot hear you. They cannot answer your prayers. You look at each other in desperation, your faces riven by pain and loss. And that's when one of you grabs it. The sword. You wrap your fingers around the scaled jade hilt and pull, dislodging it from a mountain of burning corpses. Hope glimmers along Dream Hunter's silvered edge. And then the sword flies from your grasp and plunges deep into your chest. Golden blood splatters. And Okahye, paragon of Sen, falls to their knees, and all of you see. And then we cut to a sunless morning with dull gray light hanging over Raso like a prayer gone sour. A woman pulls a rickshaw along a dirt road, the wheels of her vehicle jittering over discarded animal bones, pottery shards, broken glass, and leather strips. There's no passenger in her rickshaw. Instead, the interior is piled high with her life's belongings: clothes, satchels, shoes, heirlooms. The woman passes by a family rooting through trash for food, a smashed-in storefront, a massive boulder cratered in the middle of the street, surrounded by the splintered remains of a paved road. The woman walks past all of this, pulling her rickshaw until, finally, she arrives at the plaza of risk and reward. Gleaming marble steps lead up to a dais where the tower of risk and reward rises to dizzying heights above the clouds, like the finger of a god scraping the underbelly of heaven. The woman pushes forward, but is swallowed by a crowd gathered at the base of the tower. Hundreds, if not thousands of people throng in this plaza, murmuring, in excitement, pressed up against each other like sardines. Every now and then, one of them cranes their neck as though waiting for a firework display. The people here are an unparsable mix of destitute and rich, strong and weak, healthy and injured. It's impossible to tell what's suturing them together. And then the answer comes. A gong sounds, ringing out from the tower, silencing the chattering crowd. There is a sensation like static shimmering in the air before a storm, and then a projection of a face flickers into existence halfway up the tower. Atalanta, the champion of Nabal, looks down at her gathered constituents, the gills on either side of her regal neck flaring in anticipation. Her face is grim, serious, the kelp-green mass of her hair schooled into a strict ponytail. And then she speaks. Friends, lovers, Nabalians, it is my duty and honor to announce the terms of this year's championship challenge. As always, anyone is allowed to participate, except for those who have already been crowned champion or regent in the past. The terms are as follows. A hush falls over the crowd. The people inch forward, breathlessly waiting for Atalanta's next words. And as they do, we linger on one of the tower's windows, several dozen floors into the stratosphere. And through the clear glass, we see Oka, Manaia, Dewey, and V. The four of you are gathered in the central living space of the heroes' quarters. You're watching the same announcement play as an illusory projection above the teleportation lodestone in the center of the room. Sleep hangs heavy under your eyes. 5 minutes ago, the four of you were jolted awake by the exact same nightmare as always, but there was a significant difference. And now, you're all watching Atalanta's transmission. Atalanta continues. As we all know, there have been rumors of a carnival somewhere deep in the depths of Klathau Jungle. It is said that those who hear its music are drawn into its web, never to be seen again. As your champion and the steward of Nabal, I have decided that this year's championship challenge will be to stop the carnival and return those taken by it back to Raso by any means necessary. Gasps resound from the gathered crowd. And then applause swells up, cheering clamoring, people thumping their chests and whooping. But Atalanta interrupts the cacophony by raising a pale blue hand. The southern perimeter of Klathau Jungle has been designated as a home base for all championship hopefuls. Those wishing to participate in this year's challenge should erect your tents there. The championship commences tonight. Wait for the sound of the gong. Godspeed. And the transmission ends. In your heroes' quarters, what do the four of you do?
I think Oka has been shoving like konji into their mouth this whole time, and with their mouths still full, they go, "Don't you think it's? I mean, it's kind of a short notice. Starts tonight." You're muted.
I'm sure the championship is probably something they don't want people to prepare for too much. It'll get some people an unfair advantage, those who can spare the time.
You know me, I like to jump into a challenge before I've had any time to think about it.
Well, I suppose we've had all month to think about it.
Speaking of which, what's the plan?
Do we just head into this like we did the riots? I mean, a strange force pulling people in, not letting them go. Same thing?
I mean, it seems pretty cut and dry. The Raven Queen wasn't fucking with anyone, but it makes sense that Scott and Nectus would be. So yeah, we've done this before. We can do it again. No problem. Let's just,
No, Oka, this is different. The riots, the rage drew people in, especially those with great physical strength. This seems to take everyone, which means our precautions... What precautions can we take? I can't leave my weapons behind again. We can't do the same thing we did last time. We need to... I don't know.
well, maybe being paragons is precaution enough. The Hydra Flare couldn't touch our brains the same way it touched everyone else in green open water, and the pressure of the shards, the echoes, doesn't seem to affect us in the same way. I think the most important thing is finding someone to pin the championship on, because I don't want it to be me or you. And Oka points at V.
What
Well,
makes
I
you
just-
think I want it? Some unknown force sitting around in my body? This sounds like a terrible idea.
I was talking about the title of Championship of Nabal.
Oh, well, that's a foregone conclusion. Doesn't that sound good? It has a nice ring to it. V, the champion of Nabal.
Like I said, not her. So, basically anyone else. I feel like our preparation would best be suited trying to find someone to pin it on.
I've got someone who'd be more than happy to win, I think. No guarantees on your ability to rule fairly, but
What are you talking about?
my mentor has a new mentee who is very eager to participate and win and kill.
I'm sorry, you're who?
My old friend. She works in town.
Did she give you that, and Oka like gestures at the cool leather armor that I think Dewey's wearing
Oh
now?
yeah. You like my new shirt?
I don't know if I would call that a shirt, but looks like we all got fun little gifts.
Certainly better than what you wore to the beach.
There was nothing wrong with what they wore to the beach. So, all right. So we've got that person. Anybody else have some folks that they'd maybe be interested in?
My adventure took me far to the South Shores. Even if I knew someone down there, or even if I had met someone down there, they wouldn't be able to get up in time.
Well, by that logic, I don't want Sievert to get it, so that's the only person I really hung out.
The championship, is that restricted to... Okay, out of character question, actually. Is the championship restricted to Nibalian citizens?
No.
Interesting.
Furthermore, I remember we know this out of character, but do we know it in character? Do we know Kane's relationship to Bloodthirst in character?
No. Dewey
great.
hasn't said anything.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, maybe we can check out the tents down there. Get down early.
It's gonna take us all day to get down there, right?
Should leave soon then.
I'm sure with a bit of extra persuasion, there would definitely be a rickshaw rider able to get us down there right quick. It must be bustling downstairs already.
Might be quicker if we had mats of our own. There's a stable around the base of the tower. Okay, you're familiar with it.
I am. Their stock might be sold out at this point, though. And Oka, I think, like, glances out the window where they're still, like, in their cute pajamas, like, with their bowl of breakfast. They, like, look out the window. People are swarming down there like ants.
We should head out before fighting breaks out on the way there, probably.
Are you meeting up with your mentor, then, Dewey? Should we go pick them up?
They said they'd, no, the person I was talking about said that Ray would meet us here at the tower, so we won't be able to miss him.
You know, you're funny, Dewey. I'm always surprised by the company you keep.
This wasn't my choice. They are terrifying. Yeah, terrifying. Which might be a good thing, but...
I think, like, Oka, like, leans down with their bowl of cereal, and they snap their fingers. Scarier than me, Dewey.
Okay, I
Dewey
think
flips them
we
coffee
all
cup.
know the answer to that question.
That's the correct answer, Manaia. Thank you. Fine, let's get going then.
Keep in mind, we need to keep an eye out for the potential paragon of Girabathi and Skada Nectus, if we can find them.
I think we know who that is.
Look, just because I've had dreams about them doesn't mean they're Paragon. Let's not get ahead of our... Yeah.
Sorry, I've been out of the loop with all of this.
You didn't feel it at the Raven's Eye. Well, maybe.
I saw the ocean and the sun, but the sun was too blinding. I couldn't see anything after that. I'd assumed the sun was you, Oka. But no, Ravi said... Never mind, we'll talk about this later. We need to go.
Yeah, keep your god senses open and tingling. And have breakfast.
Okay, and on that, the four of you teleport down to the ground level of the tower, where as you spill off of the dais, it's swarming with tons of folks. You see that all of the stores inside the base of the tower seem to have, within like the 30 minutes that it took you to like get down here, like started selling championship stuff. Like, get your weapons here, get your shields here, get your armor here, get the special potion that's selling it under the table. It'll give you lots of strength. You know, this potion will make you invisible, you know, stuff like that. Everyone's hawking their snake oil and some legitimate oils, right? But most of it is snake oil. And people are swarming and buying as much as they can. Seems like a lot of people down here are championship hopefuls and are stocking up before heading to the southern perimeter of Klathau Jungle. And then, poof, the four of you materialize on the dais and you look around. Yes, Manaia?
V, did you ever find those mind-shielding potions we were trying to get?
No, all I found was this crown that makes you tell the truth. which is probably the opposite of what we want right now.
Maybe.
So
Totally.
how did you get that again? I am a little fuzzy on the details considering I didn't ask.
It was a gift from Sievert, okay? And then I burned this house down.
Sievert. You know, I'm gonna just let that be. I'm glad you had a good time, V.
I think it was the opposite of good time, but you know, maybe we live in world of opposites. I don't know. Maybe I'm back in Jukai.
Opposite day is Bear 3. We're a few months out.
Excellent. I could see if my shop that I own has anything.
Oh my god, you're so fucking funny, V. Yeah, the shop that you own the deed to is like abandoned. There's no one going in. You see that like the front part of the store has been smashed in. Looks like there were looters that went after it and took some stuff. But for the majority, of it, people are ignoring it because everyone's flocking toward championship goods.
Oh, this place has really gone to shit, V. Good job.
You know,
Good management.
just like anything V touches, it just falls apart within moments of her touching it. So, once this carnival business is done, I must come back and yell at my my manager here. Oh God, is V a Karen?
Jesus. I was gonna ask if I could just make a little, like, I don't know, investigation roll just to see if I find anything neat in the clutter at V's shop.
Yeah, go for it. Roll investigation. What are the rest of you doing as Oka eyes the broken storefront?
I don't see shit. I pick up a piece of glass and I cut my thumb on it, and then I'm like, ow, damn, fuck this shop. I'm writing a bad review. I rolled a 4. I didn't find anything.
Yeah, no, you cut your hand on a piece of glass, you look around. All you really see are like broken furniture, some random clothes littered with glass. Seemed like a V robbed Barney the dinosaur of like a clothing store, like a pottery barn or something, is what you now own. As the four of you look around, all of you hear a voice, a familiar voice go, heroes. Please, I assume the four of you will be on your way to Klathau Jungle immediately. You turn and you see Gwyn, the Fearbolg attendant, who's supposed to attend to your every need. Their cow-like ears are pleasantly bent downward in a display of deference.
Is he wearing anything different from what he usually wears?
Nope.
Gwyn, right. We'll need a way to get to the jungle edge rather quickly. Do you think we could hook us up with that stable you brought me to earlier, or?
Certainly. I have many connections all over Raso. Please, follow me.
Will you be participating in the championship challenge, Gwyn?
I'm afraid not. My talents lay in diplomacy, speech, social connections, not so much the blade.
Well, don't you think a good champion should have both? Perhaps they don't even need to be good at a blade. Especially in a time like this.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last bit? I didn't catch it.
Especially at a time like this.
You speak with a lot of sense, Master Hie. But no, I have no aspirations for such a high title. I prefer to do my work from the shadows, being the whisper in the hero's ear, as one might say.
Yeah, you do kind of keep pace in the shadow, don't you? You can never fucking tell when you're coming up. And Oka kind of like wanders away.
Away from Gwyn?
I mean, just forward, just not away necessarily, but they disengage in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, Gwyn leads the four of you out of the Tower of Risk and Reward, and as you step outside, poof, we cut to the stables, where we see like several horses being let out for each of you. Maybe there's like a horse shopping montage.
I want my elk again. Give me a mount.
Yes, Oka, you are able to grab the self-same elk that took you all the way to Convergence. It looks it looks very annoyed that it's being led away from its feed. It's in the middle of like eating in the morning and it's on a moo as the stable attendant like is like, come on now, this one's so stubborn. Here you go. You're elk again.
Thank you for that menacing little elk noise, Connie. Oka leads their elk. Dewey, you could probably sit on the back here if you like, or V, really.
I don't know how to ride elk.
Just hold on to them. They're the animal person. They'll keep you safe.
I thought I was
Or
the
you
animal
could
person.
fly. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that? Anyway,
Bonk, Max, go to pun. I hate negative inspiration, taking it away from you. All right, and do you want the owlbear again? I'm sorry, someone else rented it for the
I'm
day.
sorry, the what? You, what? There was an owlbear in here and nobody told me. Oh, 8 gods above. Fucking hell.
Listen, there are a few horses on Andake that can carry an Naidu Gohan. Well, that could. Anyway, yes, I took an owlbear, and I'm rather glad to see someone else took it. I'd rather have an animal more suited to riding, maybe.
Of course, here you go. We call this one Big Papa, our biggest draft horse that we got. I think this one will be able to hold you. And the attendant brings out Big Papa, who is a huge, like, Clydesdale. Like, just absolutely massive. And that means just barely big enough for Manaia to ride.
Manaia's not a large creature.
You're like 7.5 feet tall. I'm gonna say you are just
creature.
You are half a foot away from being large. So this Clydesdale lets out a when it sees you, like pawing at the ground and snorts, looking you up and down. With the rest of you, this young gentleman points at you, Dewey, and this young woman. Would the two of you also like your own steeds? I'm good friends with Gwyn. I'll give you a discount.
If Dewey rides with Oka, V, I suppose that puts you with me. For the sake of time, I think we'll just take these two.
That's probably better. I've never met a horse that liked me.
Nay.
I cannot imagine why, V. I literally can't imagine why.
A big Papa spits at V's feet. Do horses spit? I'm gonna say.
Connie, what the hell is going on?
I'm trying to get into my horse characterization. Please, I'm trying to inject some levity into what will soon be extreme trauma as you commence the mysteries of this arc. So excuse me. Okay.
Does the horse chain smoke too?
Big Papa says, you have no idea the horrors I've seen. So we cut now to Oka and Dewey on this elk with like tack and saddle on, and Manaia and V on Big Papa, walking down the broad boulevards, the narrow alleyways, and the dirt-paved roads that lead to the southern boundaries of Klathau Jungle to the north. And as you make your way out of the Plaza of Risk and Reward, you enter some of the outer plazas, including the Plaza of Nature and Change, which is, of course, Sen's Plaza. And here you see, trees have been curated to grow quite densely here. It almost feels like you're like in the Court of Ravens again, with how the buildings are sutured against the trunks, etc. Then you walk through this plaza where you see kids running around, throwing balls at each other, laughing. Yes, Manaia?
Just to add to the scenery, I suppose. Manaia, as she passes by maybe a lower, well, not maybe a lower hanging branch, but a regular branch, I think she reaches up with one hand and runs her hand through the leaves, putting just a little bit of magic to maybe make them change colors a little bit.
Oh, that's very sweet. Yeah, you put your hand out to make the leaves change color, and some kids who are passing a pigskin around pause and look up, and they go, "Whoa!" As they see like these golden leaves fall.
Yes, I pluck one, and I lean down and hand one to them, and I say, "Take care of this one for me, all right? I'll be back for it."
Oh, can you make an apple? Can we get some food too? We're really hungry.
Oh, of course. Is there an apple tree nearby? I'm sure I could do something.
No. Our neighbors took all the apples from our apple tree.
But the there.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
But the tree's still there.
It is, but it's gonna be a while since there's gonna be fruit.
Manaia, come on, let's go.
Just one moment. I need. Take me to the tree, V. Sorry, but we have to go. Lead me to this tree.
Okay, yeah, come here. It's just around the corner. And the kids peel off. They sort of discard the little pigskin bladder they were dropping around. I'm sorry, Max. I'm trying to get into the medieval spirit of things. And they lead you, Big Papa, and V to around the bend to where you see a little garden with, sure enough, a tree. As you can see, there's not a lot of fruit here. But if you don't have any apples, could we have some money? You look like you're rich, miss. Gestures at V.
No. She just looks rich. It's a facade, you see. We're in costume. But let me see this tree. And Manaia gets down off the horse, and puts her hands on the tree trunk, and concentrates. I don't know. Manaia's never done this before, but she wants to help.
Okay. What's her passive perception?
15.
V, what is yours?
Well, I think mine is just. It's 10.
Okay. How much gold do you have on you, Manaia?
100.
Okay. Manaia, you put your hands on this tree as you concentrate and try to make it bloom again. Just make an Arcana check for me. Straight up Arcana check.
Non-natural 20. 18
Oh,
plus
nice.
2.
Yeah. A wind flows around in your soul, and you feel the princess stir within you. You wake her from her usual slumber, I think, that she has within your soul. Here I go. Oh, Manaia, what's this? Trying to make a tree flower?
These kids are starving. The apples were taken. Could we make some more grow?
Oh, sure. Oh, but that's odd. This isn't an apple tree at all. And then you feel a little kid hand reach into your pouch and is digging around in there for your gold. And you turn around in time to see one of the kids wrench maybe a lot of gold worth handful of coins from your pouch, and they begin to turn and run off, laughing. What do you do?
Can I try to grab that kid's hand?
Yes,
by the wrist.
Make a grapple check. So that's going to be a dex.
What is this, Pathfinder?
Yes.
Get out of here with that.
Make a grapple check against this 9-year-old child, Manaia.
Are they flat-footed too?
Well, they're a nimble-looking child, yeah. What'd you get?
A grapple would be strength
make
or
a
dexterity?
dex, because you're trying to grab them and they're trying to slip out.
18.
18. Okay. You are able to, let's say, hold on to them for a minute and say something before they slip out again, or do something
I
else.
grab the child's wrist, not super hard, but firm, and I say, this isn't an apple tree, is it? Here. I'm gonna try to take the bag out of their hand. But I am going to give them 10 gold out of it.
Just 10 gold, miser. Come
That
on.
That should get you a sapling for your own tree. It'll grow for many generations.
That's gotta take 10 years, old lady. Just give us the rest of your gold. Come on, we're starving orphans.
Wow, I can't believe someone else gets called the old lady. This is new territory for me.
You're
Hold on,
even older,
all right.
lady. You look like
I
curdled
know.
milk.
Yes, and I taste like it too. Don't worry. All right, hold on. That's not. I see that I have a bunch of little entrepreneurs before me, and that's impressive. You all are doing quite well for yourselves. V is going to. Yeah, I'm gonna pull out 2 rations. Be like, you give back to Manaia what belongs to Manaia. I'll give you these 2 rations, and I'll even give you 5 pieces of gold.
We'll take the rations and the gold. And now we know
First-
your name. Manaia. And the other orphan who's been skirting around darts forward, snatches the gold and the rations, and says, well, these are low quality. They're not even the good top shelf rations. Can't even resell this for a profit. Whatever.
It's like little bees running around. I gotta appreciate their hustle.
Come on, Persimmon. Let's show Bloodthirst what we got. Let me go.
Bloodthirst?
And I think that's, yep, the kid, like, wrenches their wrist out and is like, meh, like, sticks out a tongue. And both of them say, you stink, and they turn and they run off on you. And I think while that's been happening, Oka and Dewey, the two of you have kept going, right? Presumably?
I feel like Oka turned around to shout at Manaia and then turned and I've assumed that there are tons of people on the street. So Oka's trying to navigate and they're doing a thing where they grab the antler and stand up on the elk's back and they're like, fucking move it! And then they turn around and the giant horse and the giant half-orc and little V are just not there. And they're standing and they're like, for fuck's sake, Dewey, where did they go?
Dewey's just desperately trying to keep his things from the things that are hanging off of his belt from smacking people in the face as they ride past and dropping things. He's like, I don't know. Were you not just looking at them?
I was just looking at them. They were talking to some dumb little kids.
Oh, they'll be
Well, I hope they fucking know where the jungle is. And I think it's they try to maybe turn, but there are too many people going in one direction, so I think are pulled along by the crowd.
Okay. Eventually, Oka, Dewey, and the elk, you reach the crest of a hill. So I want you to imagine Raso as sort of being its various towers. It's a large capital city. It's sort of in a bowl, right? Like a gentle bowl. And then on the south side of Raso, the edge of the bowl curves up and then spills down onto the sandy shores of Bacchanalia Beach. And now on the north side of Raso, it goes up. You reach the crest and you look down at sweeping, verdant summer plains, grasses that lead to, in the near distance, a dark forest. Doesn't quite look like a jungle yet. Looks mostly like a temperate wood. But Dewey, you in particular would know, the deeper you go into this wood, the more jungly it gets. And this wood, known as Klathau Jungle, just spans the horizon, right? From west to east. And it's like a sea, it's a veritable sea of green. And I think maybe the two of you flash back to the Court of Ravens for a bit, but it's significantly less wet. Right. And on the far horizons to your west and east, you see the glimmering, sparkling, wavy cap. White tipped. I'm trying to do my best to describe, okay? It's been a hard day for me. I'm just gonna make horse noises. Nay, nay, nay. Okay, you see.
Yeah, Connie's really carrying this one, huh?
Fuck off. I burnt all my creativity on the opening spiel. You see Ingir Lake, right? Glimmering in the far distance to your west and your east. And you see just tents already. Right, all the way down. Most of these tents have been set up right up along the perimeter of Klathau Jungle. And those who didn't get good pole position, right, are setting up their tents farther away, or it seems to be a strategic decision not to set it up so close, right? But you see large tents, single people tent, double people tents, entire camps of, it appears, adventuring parties going in together, etc. You see fires already being built. You see one area people are erecting a fence, and it almost looks like a military camp that people are already putting wooden stakes into the ground, etc. And you see other people spill out from around you, chattering excitedly, going down this mossy grassy knoll. And there's got to be at least several hundred people, if not like a 1,000 people already, like spilling out here. There's a lot. Like, Dewey, you think of like the last time you were here for the championship tournament, and there were a lot of people. This seems like there might even be more. So what do the two of you do as you come upon this?
I think Oka would pull the elk kind of like off the road and to the side to wait for. I mean, Manaia and V are gonna spill out of this road, soon. And in the meantime, they kind of like, they're paused there, like sitting on the elk, and they turn to Dewey. I thought you worked at the URL.
I did.
Are you familiar with Nabal?
Also, yes.
Oh, well-traveled bird.
Just these two places, basically, but...
Is this where you studied or something?
I worked here for a year or two.
Doing your tinkering thing?
Yeah, there's lots of people who are in the market for gadgets around championship time.
Sounds like a good deal. Why'd you leave?
Well, it's always more dangerous than they tell you. And there can only be one winner, and things get pretty competitive.
Yeah, well, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, don't worry, Dewey. I'm competitive as fuck.
That's not a good... That doesn't reassure me.
It doesn't? Oh, come on.
There are at least 100 people more competitive than you and willing to cut you down to win for themselves. So...
I'll take those odds.
Dewey, there you are. And Dewey hear the familiar growl of Xiaohu, this jaguar-like tabaxi with crystal blue eyes. Ri crests the hill, and Ri is riding on the back of a literal panther, which is kind of odd because they're like a jaguar-like tabaxi riding on the back of a panther on a saddle. They pull the panther to a stop. The panther lets out a grrr. And Xiaohu hops off, nods at you, and you see nearby Tanga is riding on what appears to be a really large chicken, and then you realize it's an ostrich. And Tanga pulls the ostrich to a stop and hops off as well and says, "Oh, hello, you must be Oka. I have heard so much about you from Cardu."
Oh, have you? I haven't heard anything about you. My name's Oka. Pleasure.
Oh, but Cardu has neglected to mention, and Tanga's like shaking your hand, just how muscular and handsome you are.
Oh, stop. You're gonna make me blush.
Oh, and Tanga like giggles, and like fans herself a little. And Dewey, you're like,
God.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Xiaohu's like, can we please set up a camp soon? The good positions will be taken.
I'm with Rob on this one.
I assume you're competing then.
Yes, and winning.
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. Are you also trying to win, or are you here to support me like Cardu?
I think we're on team support, right, Cardu?
Yes. We're all here for you.
Good. You've backed the right tabaxi. I will do whatever it takes to win for the good of the championship and her people.
Is that coming from like a place of truth, of like passion, or is that just kind of a throwaway sentence?
Do you want to roll insight?
I do want to roll insight. I almost forget sometimes that we're playing D&D where I can roll stuff. It's exciting. I'm not rolling well though. Oh wait, I have inspiration. I would like to use a point of inspiration.
Oh, speaking of inspiration. C, can you mute yourself? Because I can hear myself double. V, give yourself a point of inspiration for how you dealt with the children. I gave you one on the overlay, but I forgot to tell you. That was so funny. So C, when you have it, let me know.
18.
18, you can ask 2 questions about Xiaohu, and I'll answer truthfully.
My question being, is this like a legitimate thing? Like they care, like that Xiaohu cares about Nabal and her people, and that's why they're doing the championship?
Yes. What's your next question?
Honestly, can I hold it?
Yes,
Like,
you
yes,
can hold
you-
it.
Excellent. I'll hold on to that second question and say, interesting. Well, we're waiting for a few slowpokes who seem to have gotten lost in the streets. Why don't you two go ahead and make camp and we'll find you?
Of course. Well, our tent, a Cardi, you probably remember from, a couple years back, has a very distinctive top. It's the one with all the gears on the side. All right, we'll see you down there. It's so great to meet you in person at last, Oka. Mwah.
You have charming friends, Dewey.
He was never this flirty when I was around.
You hear her as she's like going down the slopes, with Xiaohu. I'm getting older. I need to settle. She goes down the hill.
So you really worked the championship circuit then?
Not directly. I wasn't in it, per se.
Oh.
Support character,
And I think at that point, that's when you hear the familiar snort, horse noises of Big Papa coming up behind you. And you see Manaia casting, literally blotting out, the sunless light a bit from, how tall she is, especially on this horse now, with V on the back of this Clydesdale as well.
I did want to have a smaller conversation with V after we got back on the horse.
Okay, sure.
We'll play that out a little bit.
Yeah, so maybe let's say this is happening while you're, going up, the side of this grassy slope.
But there was a long... Manaia hasn't said anything since the kids left us and we just got on the horse and went. But after the long pause, Manaia turns her head down and says to you, V, I know this is going to be odd for you, but I need the truth. Why do you lie?
That's an interesting question. Where I come from, where I grew up, words could mean several things all at once. And so sometimes what may look like a lie is actually a truth and vice versa. Have you been to Chikai much and actually gotten to know the people there?
Aside from a few ports here and there, no.
Well, it's it's a place where I'm not going to say everybody's like me. There's only one V, but the language there is a little more flexible here, and so I'm used to having that flexibility when I talk. It's not that I completely lie, it's that I bend the truth to unbelievable proportions.
But why? Why would you do that? Why not be genuine?
Because in the end, all that is important is that I survive and I stay ahead of the next person who's trying to get something from me. It is better to get ahead of someone than it is to be betrayed by someone.
Is that why you're with us? So you
That's
can
why
have
I
the fame, the fortune, to what, be the richest woman in Andake? And I think at this point we catch up with Oka and Dewey.
Where the hell did you two go off to? We have a championship to do. Come on.
Don't want to talk about it. It's just... I'm glad you didn't get too far ahead. Where's that cab?
Down that way. Look for the big tent with the gears.
Okay. The four of you spill down the grassy knoll and you begin to pass various kinds of tents. Many of them are pretty normal, right? Just a 2-person, 1-person tent with maybe a little fire pit out front or bags, people nailing down staves to keep their tents in place. Several of the tents are not quite normal at all. You see a tiny, single-person tent, but you see multiple people going in, and the tent never seems to get overcrowded, right? You see like huge like dudes like going in one after the other, and like several of them like come out, but it doesn't like, where are they going? Where are they headed? You don't know. You pass by another tent.
Clown car tent.
A tent of holding. You pass by another tent, or rather you almost run right into it, because there's some sort of shimmery quality to the cloth that makes it blend into its surroundings. It's only when the halfling man who owns it puts up his hands and goes, hey, watch where you're going.
Well, don't set up a fucking invisible tent then.
You're clearly not going to make it far in the championship if you can't even see through my almost invisible tent.
God, people are insufferable.
And you walk past this shimmery, almost invisible tent. You pass by that military-like camp. That's less of a tent and more of like a straight-up camp. You see there are people like setting in wooden stakes into the ground. And like you even see some of them in the middle of building what appears to be a watchtower, but they're moving very quickly, and there are no fewer than like 10 or 15 people like working on like just erecting this camp, but there are tents set up inside as well. And you notice like one person in charge of everything, a tall, proud looking half-orc man with his hair braided back, with dark skin, black hair, very neatly trimmed beard, and he's wearing plate armor in black, gold, and red. And when you pass by, you overhear him talk, and he's speaking in Talmadi. Not Nabalish at all. Or even common.
He's not one of the, like, advisors or anything that we met.
You do not... Well, those of you who went to the awards ceremony, roll a history check to see if you can place his face.
Who all went to that?
V went, Manaia went, I think. I don't think Oka and Dewey went.
I only rolled a 7.
So, slightly out of character, well, slight tangent, but could we not roll for name faces we'd be more familiar with? Because I, as a player, don't remember, but Manaia would remember out of like the council.
This is not someone on the council. This would have been someone just like there in the audience. So this is to see like how well you can remember right? Which I feel like would necessitate a roll. But yeah, in the future, I won't make you roll for it. Do you remember who Atalanta is? Like, I'm not gonna make you do that.
Okay. Thank you.
V, you have a point of personal inspiration, and we have 7 collective. If you'd like to use any of those.
I'll use a luck point then.
Okay,
actually.
Sounds good. Manaia, what'd you get?
History. I got a 6,
Would
but
you
I'll
like to
keep
use
it
personal?
because Manaia's a bit distracted.
He looks familiar, but you can't exactly. You're pretty sure you saw him at the award ceremony, but you can't place his name, like who he was sitting with, etc. Like what district of Dabathati he would have like served with, etc. V, what did you get with your luck point?
9.
Okay, that's also not great. I think you get like a similar grasp to who he is as Manaia.
I lived in Dabathati for a while. Would I potentially know who this person is?
That's a fine justification. Roll history. V, would you like to use another luck point or personal inspiration or collective?
I'm going to use a collective inspiration.
I'll use one more luck point. 11.
22. I'm sorry.
And-
Oka is actually really good at history.
And V, you got an 11.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Let's do you first, V. Yes, you do remember this man. He was sitting with the consul of Vinash, which you're very familiar with is the destruction district. One moment, I'm going to pull up the names of the consuls. Okay, yeah. He was sitting with Abramed Rahim, who is the Tabaxi man who is the consul of Vinash. Oka, you remember his name, I think, floating around because he's a fairly high-ranking military official. There's no war, so the military operations are mostly like reserve corps and like for like defense, as opposed to like going to war with Shulong or something. This is Major Khan Parthi. You often see him training with both the Day Watch and the Night Watch. Maybe you've even like gone to jail for like drunkenly and like drunken disorderly, whatever, and like he's been there to like look at you. Like maybe that's how you remember him. But based on your 22, I will allow you to tell me something about him that is interesting.
Perhaps he was recently demoted or expelled from his position.
I love it. Yes, that is absolutely correct. He was recently demoted and or expelled. You're not sure. You don't know why, but you know that he's somewhat disgraced and might not have claim to the major title anymore. Okay. So the four of you passed by Major Khan Parthi's literal military camp. Do any of you pause to like talk or like look, or are you just like taking it in and moving on?
I think Oka is just so surprised that they kind of stop and look for a minute when they like recognize this person. But they like shake and like immediately look away and keep going.
And at this, I think Manaia pulls up and goes, from the Republic, do you think they're vying for the championship?
I don't know what to think about that, Manaia, but it's interesting. They certainly are vying for something.
Out of character, is there anything stopping someone like Queen Kakoa or a council member from participating in the championship and ruling over 2 nations?
No, there's nothing preventing that. Risk and reward, baby! That's like the whole like founding principle of Nabal at all. Like it's a little anarchistic. Like anyone can come in and do whatever, you know. But so far in the past, that hasn't really happened. You figure maybe Queen Ko is like, I'm already ruling 1 nation. I do not want to rule 2. So the 4 of you pass by this military enclosure, and then, similar to like the halfling man who stopped you from running over his tent, the 4 of you are accosted, or rather, draw your steeds to a halt as ostriches. Similar to the ostriches that Tango was riding, but these ones look mean. Run past with riders on top, you know? And the riders are like, woo! They're like whooping, you know? And the ostriches are outfitted with like spurs and like iron beaks. They've got like beak thing, you know, and like studs on their necks. And the riders are whooping. One of them standing on her ostrich, and they're like throwing around these like chained whips and like spiked ball and chain, and they're like they seem to be practicing, right, as they're like riding along on their ostriches and shouting and whooping.
My notes are so whack right now. This is so whack.
I think Manaia maybe bumps V behind her and goes, wonder if they're related to the snake riders back from the race.
Well, we saw what happened to them when...
Yeah, where are the bone breakers at? I kind of feel like they'd be here.
They absolutely would be. And as these ostrich riders run past, the 4 of you hear a familiar voice go, "Oh my God, Manaia, Dewey, Okavi!" And you turn to see a shitty little patchwork tent that's like being outcrowded by like a tent with like a huge elephant nearby, you know, and the elephant, you know, is like, it almost seems to be like stomping on this tiny tent. And you see the bone breakers in the middle of setting up their tent. You see Lore, the green-skinned tiefling, who addressed you and is waving the 4 of you over. You see Quailheart, who makes the hard eyes emoji at Dewey as soon as he lays his Aarakocra eyes upon you. And of course, a little goblin, Scrum, who's actually doing all the work and setting up the tent. What do the 4 of you do?
Manaia immediately waves back with a smile on her face and goes, "We're setting up our tent. We'll be right over."
Oh, great, awesome. Wait, okay, hold on. Keep doing the thing. Lore says to her underlings and jogs over to you all. Whoa, those are some awesome steeds. Oh my God, I totally forgot the meeting with Atalanta.
You didn't
already
cash
happen?
that in? I'm sure you could still get the meeting.
Wasn't that interesting. Don't worry about it.
What? But she's a super hot, buff Triton lady. Well, maybe
I'm
we
sure
should
you can have your own meeting later. If you say you're from the Bone Breakers, I'm sure they'd let you in anyway.
Oh, we're not the Bone Breakers anymore. Yeah, no. We are the Blood Stompers. Yeah?
I like it. It's very creative.
Like healers?
What? No, we're not healers. Healing is for losers. No, we're blood. We'll stop your blood.
Oh, stompers, not stoppers.
No,
I see.
stompers is stupid. No, blood stompers. We're gonna curb stomp your blood right out of your body, like what you do. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of like it. Yeah. No, I like it.
Whoever came up with that one should be promoted.
It was me, actually. So I can't be promoted any further. Though don't say that around Quailheart, okay? He's trying to undermine me in front of Scrum. Sorry, there's
Ooh.
some drama among the the blood stompers. So we're definitely gonna team up for the challenge, right? Just like we did with the derby.
Let's see what happens, but we won't stab you in the back or stomp your blood.
Or break your bones.
Oh, that's good to hear because you all are like crazy strong and kind of scary. So we're just gonna glom on. We're gonna ride your coattails all the way to victory. Okay. And maybe on that, the four of you bid adieu to the bone breakers. I mean, the blood stompers. I'm gonna change that. In my notes. Blood stompers. And you head off toward a tent in the near distance. One that seems fairly large, could probably fit like 10 people in it, with almost like a circus top, but no like stripes or like circusy anything. But you see like various gears on rimming the edge of the top of the tent, and the gears are like turning amongst each other. And the gears seem to be generating energy for the tent. Right? And you see like little steam and smoke puffing out the top of the tent that the gears seem to be helping to generate energy for. And as you approach what is almost like definitely Tonga's tent, like you also see the ostrich leached outside as well as like the panther sleeping outside nearby. You all pass by perhaps the most ostentatious tent of all. For like half a moment, y'all are like, is this the carnival? Oh, wait, no, that can't be it. Because you see what makes sense here? You see a huge like trapeze like station set up with no like cushioning, on the bottom. And there's someone just like swinging on the trapeze, and there's an audience gathered, like with sparklers and like beer already, and they're like laughing and like talking to each other. And there's like a big like tent that looks like a circus tent. Set up next to the trapeze, and you see like, several elephants milling about outside, as well as various zoo and circus animals. And up in like glowing lights, sort of like a promenade, right, on Vegas Strip, you see a blue-skinned tiefling image being projected above this tent that all four of you are very familiar with at this point. Kane. Kane's tent. Is the crown jewel of all the tents of the championship. And a couple people looking at the tent seem confused. They're like, why does that look like a carnival? Is this supposed to be a dig at the carnival, etc.? Scratching their heads, but others are enamored with the trapeze acts and the various juggling acts out in front as well.
Is there anyone like carrying Kane? Are they raising Kane? Sorry, I'm done.
I really wish I had a negative inspiration model, because I will
If you
use
had
it.
I would take it. I'm sorry. That was bad.
None of you actually see Kane themselves out here yet.
Well, that is fancy, isn't it?
Okay. And maybe on that, we can cut to break. So we will be back in 10 minutes. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We're going to roll our fan art reel and some sweet, sweet tunes. So stick around. We'll be back by 4:19 here. 4:20 here. Blaze it. 5:20 Eastern. 2:20 Pacific. We love you all so much. We will see you in 10 minutes. Speesh.
learned this from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dancing. I learned to swallow light, to illuminate my darkness. I learned to feel love when I look upon my dark things. I learned this from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dancing. I learned to swallow light, to illuminate my darkness. I learned to feel love when I look upon my dark things. I learned this from a witch who was born of many gender. I learned to see a light. I learned to watch it glitter. I learned a secret from the light. I learned to watch it dance.
your flaming coffin. At his feet, eventually a skeleton key of living bone to expose illusion of my own. Slowly, can't see me, but you'll feel me in your flame.
Hello, everybody. It is so good to see all of your digital non-existent faces in the chat. Welcome back to the second half of Transplanar RPG Arc 3, Episode 5, Broken Glass and Blood. Content warnings for this episode and our campaign include, let's take a look. Deforestation, human sacrifice, homelessness and houselessness, poverty and classism, a refugee crisis, natural disasters, economic injustice, alcohol and substance use, addiction, death of loved ones, memory loss, body horror, gore, fantasy violence, emotional trauma and baggage, self-destructive behavior, bloodletting, cults and cult-like behavior, and anxiety and panic attacks described in detail. As a reminder, use !CW in chat at any moment to get a rehash of these content warnings. Please do not feel shy about using them. So with that out of the way, let's hop right back into the session. The four of you stare, riveted, at Kane's tent with its glowing light and its illusions and its trapeze axe and its jugglers and sword swallowers. And you are pulled out of your reverie by a bubbly voice. Oh, there you are! Oh my goodness, it is so good to meet all of you! As Tanga, this large, dark-skinned elf woman with very cute, sweet, poofy hair, rushes forward to greet all of you. Oh, Oka and I met earlier, and of course, Cardu and I know each other. You must be Manaia, a pleasure, and you must be V.
I missed you in the minutes that it was, Tonga.
Oh, please, you're making me blush.
This your tent, then? Set up awfully close to, is that a strategic choice?
Tonga leans in. And I think she's wearing goggles over, like, her eyes, and, like, the goggles, like, sheen over, like anime characters do, when they're about to reveal a kikaku. She leans in and says, that was for you, Devin. Yes, it was a strategic choice. You know what they say, keep your friends close, and fall in love with your enemies. Old championship saying.
Exciting. Well, shall we, then?
Yes, please. You can leave your packs here, and perhaps we can talk a little bit about our game plan with Xiaohu. V is my protege, she says, explaining to Manaia and V. Inside our tent, how about that? Come up with a plan, right?
Right, we don't have a lot of time. V, you're good at talking. Do you want to come with me to go scout out the competition while you four make plans?
Ooh, I'd love to.
Are you sure you don't want to get in on the conversation? It would be good if we all knew what we were doing. But I do see the need to see who else is here.
It could probably wait. Let's just all go in.
All right, come on in, come on in. I didn't want to bring us too close to the edge of the forest. I fear that might be a little risky. So I figured this is a good middle ground. Tonga says, explaining, leading the four of you inside her large tent. And inside you see like a workspace has already been set up. There's like a workbench in the corner with like safety goggles and hammers and tools and nails, etc. Xiao Hu is posted up boxing what appears to be a dummy. You know, it's like it's like punching it 1 2 1 2 and then bam hits it with a rear leg, boom, and like the dummy's head pops off. You know, and the Xiao Hu like walks over to the head and puts it back on, starts boxing it again. And you see like a rug with like a low table and some tea set up. And she says, please, have a seat, have a seat. Cardu, I'm sure you noticed that the edge of the forest has been, it's receded a little.
Yeah, is that due to last championship?
No, it happened in the past couple of years, I want to say. One of Atalanta's advisors, which one? Really mean human man. What was his name again? Amar. Has been undergoing a kind of a initiative, I suppose, a housing initiative, because as more and more people come into the championship, even before the cataclysm, our numbers were on the rise, and we had to figure out, too many people and not enough places for everyone to stay. So Amar figured, why not clear out part of Klathau Jungle, the part that's not too much of a nature preserve, to build homes. And of course, we've met, there's been some resistance, but that's why the tree line has receded. Of course, all the construction workers have had to halt their progress after the carnival and the cataclysm.
Nature reserve?
Yes, the depths of Klathau Jungle are technically a preserve, and Atalanta has passed an edict to basically outlaw people from going in and, bringing in invasive species or maybe endangering the already endangered species in there. But obviously this championship challenge is an exception.
Exception? When did she say that?
Well, everything goes, right? That's what she said. You just go in there and do whatever it takes to stop the carnival?
Right, but we're not. Never mind.
Well, thankfully, it's not the jungle itself that's causing problems, just the carnival within it. So you also mean to tell me that most people haven't been in this part of the jungle since it became a preserve?
No, I'm afraid not. The only person that probably would have would be one of the hopefuls here. I believe I showed you her information. Talat Om. She's a ranger of sorts. She lives off the land. Amar has been trying to catch her for years, but she's too slippery. She eludes his grasp. But enough about the boring old championship challenge, which we're going to get to tonight anyway. So the four of you are paragons? What?
What?
Dewey?
Who's got the big mouth here?
I think somebody has a big beak.
I have a device. Hold on. And she reaches under the table and pulls out what appears to be a gigantic syringe.
Oh God.
This should be able to allow me to measure your magical potential. If you don't mind, I just have to stick it and then measure.
We're
No,
good.
thank you.
Oh,
I'm thinking about it, but I don't like people that I barely know to stick things in me.
all right. She tucks it back under the table.
At least take me on a date first.
Fucking God, I'm leaving. Goodbye.
I did not mean it like that.
Sure.
Erica, sure.
It was
Self-proclaimed
Max's
lewd,
reaction
but not
that made me
rude.
realize.
Getting us back on track, Xiaohu joins the tea table and is like panting a little to like warm up, for the challenge later tonight. And Ree says, "Our biggest competition is Kane. That's why we set up this tent so close to their tent. I'm thinking perhaps we should do something to sabotage them before the challenge even starts."
I love that kind of plan.
Anything goes, right?
But we have to be very careful. Kane is not above murder.
I suppose the championship challenge has already begun.
Yes, it has. And once that gong sounds, everyone's going to peel into the jungle at once.
What's your plan, Xiaohu?
My plan is to get in there and win.
No, the sabotage plan.
Oh, I was thinking maybe we could poison Kane's drink or something. He's a laxative. I don't know. I didn't really think that part through. You're the brains, Tonga, Cardu. You're supposed to advise me. What do we do?
I could definitely give a good distraction.
You have to be careful, V. Xiaohu is right. Kane is very dangerous. They won't
sure we wanna
hesitate to
get on-
slit your throat.
Are we sure we would want to get on their bad side this early on?
That's a good point, Cardu. Maybe if you just play it safe. I'm sure other people are trying to look out for number one, too. Maybe someone else will try to sabotage them before we do.
How... If we don't mess with them, how likely are they to mess with us? Try to sabotage us?
Only if we appear as a threat. Kane is cunning. If we play our cards right and look like we're mediocre or just somewhere in the middle of the pack, they probably won't target us.
Perhaps some observation is in order. I didn't see them out there.
Yes, but don't get caught. Here, this should help. And Tonga springs up and digs through like a big crate and pulls out a pair of spectacles that look very similar to Dewey's, but very small. You know, it says, these should heighten your powers of perception. Anyone?
I don't need glasses. Those look like Dewey's.
Well, yeah. Let me
Where
see
do you-
those. I haven't.
Here you go.
Did you make those? No?
I did.
Yeah.
Last night I stayed up all night to make these. Try it. Put them on.
And I clip them over my glasses.
And Dewey, as long as you're wearing these, you have advantage on all perception checks.
Nice.
As you look around, everything is pulled into sharper focus.
Ooh.
Tonga, I can see now why you were Dewey's mentor. Although I fear he's failed to tell you very much about you. How long have you been in the championship business?
Oh, no, I was never Cardu's mentor. We were partners. We were both mentors to the previous cycle's championship.
Oh. Wow. That's interesting. And, I mean, I don't know. Atalanta was your pick?
No, Atalanta was something of a sleeper hit. Our top protege was, well, and Tonga looks uncertainly to you, Cardu, to see if she should proceed with the story.
So laxatives? For Kane?
Yes, laxatives for Kane. Are we back on the offensive? I like that, Cardu.
I love the laxative idea. And looking weak, yes.
Well, that shouldn't be too hard for you, right, Cardu? Tonga, like, slaps you on the back. I'm just kidding.
Hey. He's grown a lot since you've known him, you know.
That's true, and that sword you've got, Cardu, you still gotta tell me more about that when we have the chance.
Once I get better, once I get a better grip on it, yeah.
I'm starstruck. Really, seriously, just looking at the four of you. Ooh, the chosen ones of this generation. Ah! Ooh.
Speaking of which, Dewey, we need to talk later.
Yeah, we do?
Yes.
Okay.
Is something wrong? Did Cardu, did you do something bad? Or was it you, Manaia, that did something bad?
Tonga, what Cardu told you was very sensitive information and can't get out.
I swear on it, I'm not going to tell a single soul. My word is as good as gold. And so is Xiaohu's, right? Yeah. And the four of you get the sense that Xiaohu doesn't really know what you're talking. Like, maybe like is better focused on fighting and less so on thinking.
Right, and if someone's listening in?
Oh, don't worry. The security in this tent is airtight. I designed it myself.
Well, if your gadgets are anywhere as good as Dewey's are, then I think I trust that.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to do my best to continue working on some last minute tools I've got tinkering on over here. How about we reconvene maybe an hour before nightfall? It's so weird not having Galtanger in the sky anymore. I'm still not over it. And then maybe we'll all be together in time for the gong and can set out as a group. But the four of you can do whatever you have to do to prepare, whether that's working on a laxative for Kane or just scoping out the competition. How does that sound?
Thank you, Tonga. It's nice to be on your side.
Of course, I wouldn't bet against me. All right, I'm gonna work on that trick chessboard now. I really think I'm getting somewhere with it. Tonga gets up and heads over to her workbench, and you immediately hear bang, 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 bzzz, saw, 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 ding, 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 as she starts working on like an X device.
Okay, Connie.
Like an Animal Crossing.
Yes, literally just like in Animal Crossing, you see like a plume of dust come up. You know, she like fast works. So what are the four of you gonna do until nightfall, when the gong is gonna sound and the challenge begins in earnest?
Well, we should go meet back with the the blood
Blood stompers. V, you don't happen to have I don't know, a fake mustache in your bag or something?
Why would I actually have a disguise when I can just use magic?
Well, it was just, I mean, never mind. It'll be fine. It'll probably be fine.
We could cut off some of your hair and just make a little. Oh,
It's-
not fine. None.
has gotten a little longer since we first met you.
Yeah, well, it's been a while. I haven't really had time for haircuts. And besides, my hair in the wanted poster is longer than. And I think like Oka kind of like looks over their shoulder at where Xiaohu and Tonga would be, you know, and like talks a little quieter. Either way, you don't have like contacts or something like that.
No. I use magic. Why would I ever need any kind of disguise kit?
Well, can you use magic on me?
Out of character, would it be able to do minor illusion on Oka?
Yeah, but you'd have to stay in the vicinity to maintain it.
I actually do have a disguise kit.
Oh my god. Dewey, you're listening to all of this, just like keeping your lips sealed, drinking
No, I
tea.
didn't realize. V's the disguise expert. I don't know.
I mean, I could, but I'd have to be pretty near close to you to keep up an illusion.
That'll probably be better if we can split up to get as much ground as we can if we're trying to figure out who the hell else is here.
It's good to stay together in case we get caught in some sticky situation.
I'm gonna put pause on this. Do y'all want to talk out of character to plan what you want to do? Or just like say what your character is interested in doing before the gong sounds?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, out of character, do we want to do this thing of like sabotaging Kane or what?
It
And I
is
suppose.
high risk, high reward. It is very, very, very risky.
I mean, I would try something, but
I mean,
Yeah.
Oka's interested in not necessarily going into sabotage, but going in to get more information.
Mhm.
So if it's like an Oka v Strike Force moment,
I'm
That sounds
happy
like
to
I'd be
provide
interested in that.
whatever lacks. Can make something up, and if you just get the chance when you're talking to Kane. But yeah, I would leave the sneaking in and schmoozing Kane up to V.
Okay, and Oka, maybe? Because both of you are interested. All right, so maybe Dewey, you could, if you wanted to make it laxative so our Blood Hunter and our Sorcerer have the option, I'll ask for a roll for that to see like how well you can make this potion.
Yes.
What
I
is
have an herbalism
Manaia?
kit.
Yes, why don't you roll nature? What is Manaia interested in doing?
And I was interested in re-meeting with the blood stompers, catching up, seeing what they've been up to, but not really for that long because, of course, we need to scout out the competition. She would likely want to fill them in, or she would, not likely, she would want to fill them in on which team we're aligned with, and saying that we're unfortunately taken, but we won't mess with y'all if you don't mess with us. And who knows, if you have something to offer, maybe we could help each other.
Okay,
And then
awesome.
continue to scout out other tents and teams.
Outside of Kane, right?
Yes.
Oka's also interested in talking to Talat. We're trying to find where Talat is to get a better lay of the land in the jungle.
That would have
if
been Manaia's
possible.
next step as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, sounds good. So Dewey, what are you interested in outside of making this potion?
I might spend my time doing that and then hand the pictures I have. I think I took down notes or like pictures from when Tonga showed me the 3 contenders, Talat, Jing, and Kane. Like brief anyone who's doing recon. Give them my notes.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, let's start with Dewey. What did you get on your nature check?
I had an 18.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So that's going to mean that is it a laxative or is it like a poison, like a mild poison or something else?
I think it would take more than a little bit of diarrhea to keep Kane out of the game, so a mild poison.
Okay. You have brewed a mild poison that is pretty potent. I think with an 18, it can like take out like an adult person for it won't like kill them, but it'll take them out of commission like for a few days at least, unless they get like an antidote stat or unless they're like extremely constituted or something. Okay. So now let's go to Oka and V. Dewey has created this potion and holds it out in his feathered hands. What do the two of you do?
I've mixed it into one of my wheat grass shots. Like, it'll make you strong, but also take you out. So maybe Kane's interested. Here.
Well, we'll see what we can do with this. It's very fiendish of you, Dewey.
It's just... I mean, if we're saving the world.
It was a compliment, don't worry.
Thanks.
Oka and V, the two of you take Dewey's... Did you mix it in with one of your caffeine shots? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Caffeine laxatives, and you head out of Tonga's tent. And at this point, the sky is starting to get a little bit darker. It's taken you like the whole day. Maybe let's say even like broke for lunch in Tonga's like tent. Like it's starting to turn into like late afternoon here. And Oka and V, the two of you stride toward Kane's tent. Tell me what your strategy is.
So are you the bad clown or am I the bad clown? I still don't really understand.
Well, what would you like? It depends. Do we want something where I distract and you plant this pill somewhere, or do we want to trick him into thinking it's something good?
I don't think... I mean, you could maybe do that, but I don't know if I could make that happen. But we could be distracting, certainly. I mean, like, what are all these acrobats? You and I could probably do something like that, right?
Oh, I could do all sorts of things. No hesitations there.
So is this a clown bit?
Sure. V cast disguise self to look. Let's go with a tiefling. Let's go with a hot pink tiefling.
That's nice, V. That's very nice. All right, I'm gonna get on your shoulders now. And Oka just kind of like crawls up V, and like takes like a stand right on her shoulders, like she's like they're just standing on her shoulders.
Okay. V, I need you to make an acrobatics check as the base. And then I'll need one from the flyer.
Let's see. 18.
18. Okay. What did you get? Okay.
22.
Somehow it works. the two of you are actually fairly graceful. There's not a lot of staggering involved. Maybe once or twice toward the beginning as you get used to each other's weight. And then you move forward pretty gracefully. Okay? Are you trying to pass yourselves off as like trying to audition or something?
I feel like we're trying to I mean, Oka thinks that we're trying to I think my attempt here is that we're trying to pass ourselves off as one of just the retinue of circus performers that are in the tent area. That they're just going to waltz in and do their little act and then sneak in the back.
Okay, so there's like a main, let's call it the big top, the main that has, as you get closer and you see various performers, you see jugglers, you see like the trapeze artist, you see like a sword swallower, you see like a fire breather, etc. The main big top front flap is guarded pretty heavily by like 4 real burly looking folks, just like strapped head to toe in like knives and daggers and longbows. It's really excessive, but they look real intimidating, right? So as the two of you walk, I need both of you to make a performance check to go through this undetected.
How art imitates life.
It's funny because I'm just sitting here like, I've done this before. I've done this maneuver. I've been the base for this trick.
It was an 18 minus 2, so 16.
Okay, a
I'm
16
gonna
from Oka.
use my last luck point,
Okay.
and that gets me to a 16.
16 from both of you. That means it's mostly okay, but someone who's really perceptive might be able to realize that you don't exactly quite fit in here. But you get past like the average Joe, right? So the two of you, describe to me what it looks like.
So I've got so Oka's standing on my shoulders, and I've got my hands up on their calves to like anchor them to me. There's a little bit of wobble as we go on in there, but V, as much as while trying to focus on being the base, is like trying to be like as jovial and like, hello everybody. We're trying to get. We're a little late. I recognize we're a little late, but we've come to be part of the show. I don't know what this voice is.
It's a horrible voice. Oka,
They
what
can't
about
all
you?
be winners.
I think Oka, they don't want to speak because the second they open their mouth, they're just going to do something absolutely ridiculous. So I think that they are actually going to be doing a little bit of fun little culling edge tricks where they focus and they like wipe just a little bit of blood away as a long sheen of like red and gold blood just kind of goes and then they like let it like drop into a rope that they like whip around like V's feet, like almost like a flaming whip trick, and it is also on fire because of their rite of flame. So this blood rope on fire that Oka's now just kind of like doing like almost like sword forms, but they like whip out, and come back. And they're like, make way, like.
I think V is also casting minor illusion to make like a trumpet sound. Like it's almost like Flight of the Bumblebee, like just accompanying all the stuff that Oka is doing on top.
Okay, I love that. So with your 16s, you get by. You weave your way through the crowd. Where are you headed? You want to go around the back where not a lot of people are?
Sure.
I mean, you're the base, V. Where are you taking the two of you?
I think V would start marching right towards the entrance, and then Oka would be like whisper down, no,
V, around the back.
Of course, we'll be right back.
Okay, that was horrifying. So V and Oka stagger around the back where there's not a lot of folks, but you do see cages with animals in them, like quote unquote exotic animals, right? You see like owlbear, here and there. You see a rust monster, which Oka you'd recognize as like this big like bug-like creature with like moth-like antenna that likes to eat metal things. So the cage that the rust monster is in is actually made of wood, and it's like gnawing on a rusty sword, etc. Various creatures like that. You even see what appears to be a gigantic spiked armadillo right? That's like currently curled up into a ball, and then it uncurls as you pass by it with its big, bulbous, beady eyes looking at you. And there are guards loitering around back too. There does not appear to be a back flap. But as the two of you peek around, scope out the situation, one of the guards picks his head up and says, "Hey, no performers around back."
What you see, we're trying to make our surprise wonderful entrance. We really wanted to surprise everyone inside. We thought there'd be a fun little back entrance that we could surprise everybody and be like, ta-da!
I don't remember Kane asking for performers.
Well, no, this is going to be a surprise. Surprises, you know what surprises are, right? This is one of those things.
Who ordered the surprise?
Who do you think ordered the surprise? You really want to be on the receiving end when Kane's upset that their surprise is ruined?
So let me get your story straight. Kane ordered the two of you to surprise them.
Yes.
Okay, I need both of you to make a deception check.
Do I have any more inspiration?
You have 3.
I have a 26.
Okay, but let's see what Oka's is. Are you going to use a personal inspiration, Oka? Okay, I'm going to knock one off the top for you.
15.
The guard squints at the pink tiefling and then up at Oka with your blood whip on fire. Says, "Doesn't make too much sense to me. You know what? The two of you stay there. I'll ask the tiefling himself." And the guard turns.
I'm a tiefling. You can ask me.
Ha ha, very funny. And the bugbear guard, let's say, stalks off toward what appears to be a hidden back flap that if he didn't open it, you wouldn't have known was there, and disappears inside. And while the two of you wait for your fate, let's go to Manaia. Manaia, you find yourself in front of a shabby little tent that is now completely staked into the ground. And on the outside, Scrum is tending to a fish that he is roasting over an open fire. And some of the embers, there's no fire safety here. Some of the there's no stones or anything. The embers are flicking out and popping onto the grass nearby and making the grass catch on fire a little bit. So Scrum has to rotate between rotating the fish to stomping out the fire to rotating the fish to stomping out the fire.
Mhm.
Oh, Manaia, there you are. Hello.
Hey. Let me take that off your hands. And then I just towards the stick with the fish on it.
Oh, thank you so much. I don't know the first thing about building fires. Lore knows all the survival things, but I'm a pretty good cook. And Scrum starts bapping out the fire.
Manaia, also a relatively good cook, especially with fish, uhan and all, is cooking and goes, "So, how are you all holding up? We seem to lose you on the beach there."
Yeah, we got a little distracted by all the shiny things, but we had a lot of fun. On Bacchanalia, we just completely forgot about claiming our prize. Audience with Atalanta. Ugh! Can't believe that slipped our mind. But now we're here at the challenge and we don't want to delay, so I guess we'll wait until we're done. How are you? What happened with you all? Where did you go off to? You didn't want to set up your tent next to us?
No, we're part of a different team. Unfortunately, we've been claimed.
What?
I know. Don't worry. Manaia blinks a couple times. No, don't worry. We're not going to sabotage you, and if you'd like, we could help each other out.
Wait, like an alliance?
A sort of alliance.
Lore! Big lady wants to make an alliance! What, really? And Laura comes running out of the tent. Manaia! There you are! I wasn't
Hey.
Listening at the edge of my door, tent flap or anything at all. I didn't hear anything that you said, but yes, an alliance! We would love to make an alliance with you. I mean, the four of you, you all are, woo! I mean, you could crush us like marbles.
Anyway, I think we would rather keep our preparations separate, but if we see you out there, we'll let you be.
We should come up with a secret signal. How about, help! Oh, dear gods, help me! Help us! Our lives are in danger. Please, Manaia, help! Does that sound good?
I fear that's a little too long and an all too common phrase that would be shouted out, not only by you, but by some of my companions as well, potentially.
Well, how about Dewey? Why won't you make eye contact with me? And Quailheart also pokes his hummingbird face sullenly out of the tent. How about...
I can't speak for him, but I know that he is slow to trust. Give it some time.
Oh, I understand that. Poor guy. Us single dads gotta stick together. Can you tell him I said that? Can you also give him this? I made it on Bacchanalia Beach. And Quailheart tries to hand you like a little coconut shard with like a carving in it of like Dewey and Quailheart holding hands that says bros forever.
I'll get this to him.
Please, it would mean a lot to me. I know Dewey doesn't always want to talk to me or hang out with me or like me or respect me, but I just really want to be his friend. Maybe I'm coming on too strong. Yeah, maybe you are, Quailheart. Maybe you should stop trying to undermine me in front of Scrum. I'm sorry I said your gumbo tasted bad, but you literally used curdled milk. What? It enhances the flavor. Well, come on, Lore, come on. Quailheart, let's not argue in front of Big Lady here. You're right. Manaia, we'll figure out, we'll workshop it. We'll workshop a signal.
Hey, and after the championship, win or lose, we'll see you again. And when we do, there's a rather popular gumbo soup dish from where I'm from that actually uses curdled milk and other sorts of meats and foods that maybe here on the Big Island you would consider have already gone bad. It's a unique flavor.
I told you, Quailheart! I was just being culturally resonant.
But it has to be prepared correctly, or it may be dangerous to eat.
Exactly. You hear that, Lore? Shake my head. Just shake your head. You don't have to say shake my head. And Lore chases Quailheart back into
Buddy, shut the fuck up.
And on that,
I think Manaia is just gonna let them be and start heading away.
Awesome. And as you start walking away, shaking your head, we cut to Dewey. What have you been up to?
I think I'm watching what Xiaohu does. Is he just ripping heads off dummies still, or?
Xiaohu has graduated to meditating. And Vri is cross-legged on the ground of the tent. Like, eyes closed, like, seems to be, is meditating. What do you do?
Okay. I'll talk with Tonga.
Bang, 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 saw, ding, 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 brrr. Oh, hey there, Gardu. She pauses, and you see, like, half of a chess set, like, done, right? All the black pieces are done.
Is this pertinent to the challenge?
Oh, yes, it is, actually. Well, don't tell anyone. I'm trying to patent this, okay? This is a trick chess set. My idea is we'll plant it somewhere in Klathau with 2 moves away from checkmate, right? So some inquiring mind's gonna come up and be like, oh, I know exactly how to checkmate. Come up, but then bam, explodey. They'll get suspended in the middle of the air. They'll get caught there in a psychic net of some sort, and they won't be able to continue.
Is this trap specifically meant for, like, me, or, like... Who do you think is?
The idea is for the more cerebral types, and based on my preliminary scans of the Carnival's influence, it does appear to be able to warp perception. So I'm hoping that a chess set in the middle of the jungle won't look as weird as it usually might. In fact, the weirder our traps look, the more normal they'll actually appear in the context of the Carnival, you know what I mean?
Sure, this isn't a normal carnival or championship though.
Yeah, I know. And Tonga looks down at the Black Queen. It's been really hard since the cataclysm. Honestly, Cardew, it's been really hard since you left. I thought about leaving too, but I had to stay. I had to keep going for everyone we lost. For Rose. You get that, right?
I get why. I just dealt with it in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, by having a wife and kid.
Not that. I meant leaving, but yeah, I needed something more, something that would last longer than the challenge, the championship.
I hear you. I mean, believe me, I definitely thought about leaving. I couldn't leave Xiaohu behind. And some of the other proteges I've since trained after you left. Xiaohu's the only one who's really stuck around, though. Really... I don't think Ri gets me, but Ri supports me. And I support Rim.
I was wondering how that partnership worked out. So what are you going to do after this challenge?
Oh goodness, Cardew. I haven't thought that far in the future. I guess the future is an open question mark, because everything will change depending on whether or not Xiaohu gets the championship. If Ri does, then I will be Rear mentor. I will be Rear's closest advisor. We will turn this sinking ship around. If Ri doesn't, I guess we'll do our best to influence who does end up being champion. Fingers crossed it won't be Kane.
What is Kane's deal besides mischief and chaos?
Well, you and I know better than most, don't we? We both know what they did to Rose, to everyone else that got in their way. They're a sadist, Cardew, not a good bone in their body. I really don't say this about a lot of people, but I don't think Kane is redeemable at all. Pure evil. And maybe on that, we cut back to Oka and V. Waiting out back. What have you been up to while you've been waiting for this dude to come back out?
I think Oka kind of slides off of V's shoulders. Fake V, Tiefling V. And they look anxiously back at the hidden door flap. God, I fucking wish I wasn't here. This was a horrible idea. We should just... I wish I wasn't here. And on Oka being I wish I wasn't here, a little flash of red, and then it's just right through the shadow of the tent, and they cast invisibility once per day, baby.
Oka, where did you go?
Shush! Fuck! I did it again. I thought it was just. Fuck. All right. Okay.
Okay. Distraction time. I distract. You do what you do have to do.
Okay, yeah, no, this is good. I can do this. I can totally do this. Okay, say something loud. Okay, bye. Okay, I got this. I can't believe it worked. Fuck. And Oka is gonna kind of like stand there and jitter for a minute, like the little puffs on the ground, and then they're going to take off in a quick, brisk walk toward that hidden door.
Meanwhile, V's looking around. What are these cages like? Like, what's the locking and door situation for the cages?
Jesus fucking Christ. Each of them has like a big fat padlock on it.
Okay. And are the doors ones that swing out or like up or
Up. They go up.
perfect? All right. V's gonna cast Dimension Door to go on top of the owlbear cage,
Okay.
and just in a very dramatic jumping up on top of the cage, and then like pushing her hand down at the padlock, casting Knock to destroy that lock.
Okay.
And you can hear the crack of sound from 300 feet away. And then V just, in a very fluid motion, lifts up the door and says, "Be free, my friends, be free."
Okay, so
And then like leaps.
there are still several guards milling about, like I mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, when this happens.
Yep.
So I think the sequence of sounds is whoosh, whoosh, crack, shing, be free, brah, gah, as the owl bear just gushu, gushu, gushu.
Don't
Like,
forget the trumpet sound.
yes,
Minor
the
illusion.
massive, yes, your circus trumpet noise. Okay, have a point of inspiration for that. You're unhinged. Yeah, okay. So the other guards go, what? They don't know whether to like try to attack you or go after the bear. The owl bear, most of them peel after the owl bear, but as you're on top of the cage, the other ones turn to you and draw their weapons, you know? And one of them growls, get down out of there. You're messing with our private property.
Can I leap to another cage top?
Yes, you can. Which one are you going toward? The rust monster? Or maybe like the spiky armadillo?
Let's go with spiky armadillos. It's just leaping in midair. There's like a quick pause, a little glint in her eye, ding, and then leaps onto the thing. Casts Knock again in a very similar fashion, lifts the door and says, "Be free, my friends, be free."
Shing! Crack! Shoo! Ka-ka-ka-ka! Now it's the rust monster that is freed. V, I need you to make a dex save as these guards start shooting arrows at you.
Excellent. You said dex save, so that would
Yes.
be 13.
Okay, do you want to use inspiration or are you gonna let that sit?
I'll let that sit right now.
Okay, in that case, I need you to take, because there's several guards and they're all trying to shoot at you. Let's say you take 11 points of piercing damage as various arrows, as you're like still on the cage letting out the armadillo. I think several like lodge into like your chest area and like your like get on like your vest, you know, your shoulders, etc. Nothing fatal, but it does kind of hurt. And now you kind of look a little bit like a pincushion, right? And now several guards are struggling to try to climb up onto the cage and grab you. But on the chaos, and the armadillo like curls up into a ball and starts rolling away and knocks down a guard, right? And the guard goes, it's blunt, but also sharp, as they like poof, are like knocked to the side and fall into the ground. The armadillo rolls off. We are going to cut to Oka. This chaos is like happening behind you in slow motion, right? Like you're not looking back.
Oka like looks back for 1 second and as V does the first "be free," and they're like, "Yeah, okay," like slow motion as they run.
Yeah, and you go through the tent flap, right? Invisible. And inside you see a grand, just massive pleasure dome. There are various little like divots, you know, cushions, pillow piles where people are just like drinking and eating. There's like a fragrant buffet set up, you know, and there's all kinds of beautiful people. Like the only uniting factor here is they're all gorgeous, right? And several of them are like wearing masquerade masks, right? And like laughing, like some of them are like kissing on each other. Some of them are like playing games or like eating, etc., drinking. And it's just like, it's like a private party, right? And there's like music playing, right? There's like thumping, there's like live music and like live dancers up on like various stages. Think like gay nightclub. So it's like lights are strobing. Oka, what do? You are invisible.
I think Oka was kind of I mean, I don't know what they were expecting, but it definitely wasn't this. So they like go through the flap and they're like, and like pull themselves, I think, like immediately like right out of somebody's way as they like go past, like flush against the tent again. And they are immediately looking for the bugbear who came in to ask Kane something, apparently.
You turn around and you see the bugbear on his way out of the back flap. And as he like exits, you hear him go, "What the as he like is trying to take care of V's nonsense. What do you do, Oka?
I look for a semi-familiar blue tiefling.
Make a perception check to see how fast you can find them.
Ouch. 5?
Would you like to use one of your 2 personal inspirations? Or
Yeah, I will.
Okay. I'm going to take one off the board. What'd you get?
6. Let me add my perception. 12.
Would you like to use another personal or a collective? Okay. A 12. Let's say it takes you until something else happens to see Kane. You're turning, you're looking, you're like pressing yourself up against like gyrating, dancing bodies, like moving away from like where maybe you pause, you see like a huge champagne fountain, right? That people are just like putting like frosted glasses against and just drinking. And like one dwarf is just like drinking like directly from the fountain, right? And you see like a miniature mountain of like chocolate covered strawberries. Like there's a chocolate fountain as well, right? And then you see like another fountain of like a different kind of alcoholic beverage. And you're moving all these beautiful people like in like sequins and like satins, sorry. Just beautiful tieflings and elves and half orcs and halflings and gnomes and dwarves, people of every shape and size and color, right? Just in here, but all of them are so handsome and gorgeous. And then you see them. You lock your eyes upon Kane from across the room. And it's not too hard to find them because they're elevated above the crowd on a chaise lounge, right? And they have no fewer than 4 beautiful attendants tending to them. One of them is feeding chocolate-dipped strawberries into their mouth. Another one is literally rubbing their feet, giving them a foot massage. Another one's giving them like a manicure, it appears. And like another one is at the kneeling in front of the lounge. Let's see. Shining what appear to be or like polishing what appear to be a pair of like shoes, like special looking shoes with like heels on them. Think like a little bit Dorothy ruby red heels, like a gem colored heel that they're like polishing up. And then you can't hear what Kane's saying, but you can see Kane like moving their mouth and they seem to be speaking. And like the crowd of like adoring fans nearby, like, oh, I'll giggle and laugh, a little bit too loudly at Kane's jokes. But before you can get like too close, someone comes in from like the main like tent flap area at the front. And they like run over to Kane and they like whisper something in Kane's ear. And Kane just goes, and then gets up, and all the attendants like move away, and Kane makes an announcement. And as soon as they like raise their voice, all the music stops, like all the moving stops, like everyone just immediately knows that like Kane is speaking, so they gotta shut the fuck up. And Kane says, "Ladies and gentlemen, beautiful people and lovers, it appears that someone has requested a formal duel with me. And so I must accept. This won't be too long. Keep the party going. Come watch if you want. More champagne for everybody." And everyone in the tent like cheers as Kane gets up and several attendants like help them. The one shining the heels like raises them and Kane just like waves them off. And then barefooted, walks down this like elevated like chaise lounge like platform and heads outside. And you can see Kane is draped in this open robe, right? Very flowy, very dancerly almost, that exposes their top surgery scars. So as they're heading out, Oka, what do?
I mean, Oka's like taking care to like sneak, down the tent on the one side, and they like almost get there, and then Kane like stands up and gives the announcement and starts walking out, and they're like, "Fucking hell!" And they like turn around and just like try to go back the way they came as fast as possible, like keeping to the sides of the tent. Like, I think it's almost embarrassing. They like crawl underneath one of the tables just so they don't have to push through people, Like they're just they're trying to make their way as fast as possible back to the entrance of the tent.
Okay, as you push your way through the tent, I think we are going to cut to Manaia and Dewey. I think at this point, Manaia, are you returning to Tanga's tent before you try to find Talat?
Yeah, I think I'll go collect Dewey.
Okay, as you stop by Tanga's tent, the two of you, Dewey from inside, Manaia from outside, hear commotion, right? I think both of you hear like ostriches squawking and like the sounds of like ostrich taloned feet, like slapping the earth. And you also hear like a loud voice, a very proud, loud, slightly drunken sounding voice, go, well, where are they? Are they too much of a coward, to face me head on? To face on Jing, Come on out, Kane, you coward. Battle to the death. We both know it's you and I, top contenders here, so let's just knock one of us out of the park here. And I think it's gonna be you. Where are you? Come on out! Official duel challenge, is what both of you hear coming from the direction of Kane's tent. What do the two of you do?
I'm scrambling out of the tent.
Yeah. As soon as you get out, Manaia like elbows you a little bit and goes, "I'm not a betting woman, but pretty sure that's V."
I don't think so. Not this time.
No? Well, they've got a handle on things. Let's go find... Shit. What was her name?
Talat?
Talat. Let's go find Talat.
I do want to see this go. These are the two biggest contenders. If one of them can take the other out, I want to see this.
That's probably important. Alright, you do that. I'll go find them.
Okay.
We're running out of time, though. And be careful. When two people start fighting, it very commonly ends up with more people fighting at the end.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm great at knowing when to leave the scene. Don't worry about me.
Dewey, you peel off toward Kane's tent, and Manaia, you set off to find Talat. And as you peel off toward Kane's tent, let's go back to V. V! Several guards are trying to scramble their way on top of the cage, and then you see the bugbear exit and go, "Hey, what the Hey, you!"
I don't know what's happening right now. And V's gonna leap back to the middle cage, and she's making her way back to the other, to the rest ones. And as she leaps in midair, she's gonna fire. It sounds like a whistle firecracker, and it's gonna go way up into the air, way up, as 60 feet in the air, and boom, a fireball. Just distractions, and she's gonna make her way across and jump across and cast a knock on this her last knock on this final cage.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for at least a roll for that.
Yeah, go for it.
Why don't you make an acrobatics check?
I will use my personal inspiration.
Okay, sounds good. You have one left.
All right. What do we have for collective still? 6?
6.
All right. 1 collective.
Okay, sounds good.
There we go. 16.
16. Yes, that is successful. The bugbear takes out what appears to be a slingshot and aims it at you. Poof! But the metal pellet whizzes between your legs. Let's say as you pirouette through the air and poof, land on it. Clap. Same thing happens. Pew! Foo! Ding! bang! As the rust monster runs out and starts wreaking havoc, right? And in the chaos, over the din of your chaos, you hear a voice come from the front of Kane's tent that goes, "Come on, Kane, I'm waiting. This has been a long time coming. Let me bash that pretty boy face of yours in."
Ooh, sounds like a party's getting started, everybody. Maybe we should go see what's happening. As the creatures are all like running around in the back.
Are you going to also head toward the front, V?
Yeah, I'm going to I think I'm just gonna dimension door to like the side of the tent and then drop disguise self as soon as I get over there.
Okay, you dimension door to the side where you see, and Oka you see as well as you invisibly run out the front of the tent, and Dewey you see as you come around Tonga's tent. The three of you would like sort of triangulate here, right? A crowd has formed around the ostrich riders that you almost ran into on your way here. And all these ostrich riders are like look like rough and tumble folks, you know, like studded leather armor, very Mad Max Fury Road, right? With their like mean, like metal beaked ostriches with their metal spurs on their talons as well. But their leader is none other than Jing, an elf with gray-brown skin, bone-white hair that's tied back with like a headband with golden coins dangling down from it. And their eyes look really lazy and arrogant and confident. And they're sort of strutting around like on their ostrich, right? And they're sort of like showboating a little bit. And everyone's like, there's like a big crowd of at least a couple dozen people gathered, like looking, whispering. You know, they're like, you know, people are whispering like, Jing's thrown down the gauntlet. Well, Kane would have to be a coward to refuse. You know, they're all like looking at each other. And Jing's like, looks like you're not going to show, huh? Well, I guess everyone can mark the day that Kane decided to. Well, now, Jing. Everyone knows a true showman makes an appearance. And then Jing steps out of the tent, right as, let's say, maybe this is like with a fireball, like, that like V cast like makes like a huge shower like across the night sky, and everyone thinks it was like Kane, right? Everyone goes, ooh, ah, you know, in the audience. And Kane sort of like takes off like this outer robe they were wearing and like hands it to like a nearby attendant. And Jing smirks and like hops off the ostrich, and the ostrich goes off to like one of Jing's retinue, right? Jing like cracks their knuckles and they go, all right, I've challenged you to a fight to the death. Before the gong sounds, whoever wins, wins. What do you say? Kane looks to the left, looks to the right, and says, to the death, you say? Are you sure, Jing? Don't you have so much to live for? Well, maybe not. Shut your mouth! Are you going to accept my challenge or not? Fine. I accept. To the death, then. And I doubt it'll take me until the gong. And Jing pulls out double chakrams from their waist, which if you don't know what that is, that's basically what warrior Princess Xena uses. It's like a bladed, like circular boomerang weapon. And like the edges are like custom made to be serrated to cause as much bleeding as possible. And Jing just runs forward with like, whoa, like immense speed. Like even though Jing's kind of big and like muscular, like this elf is fast, and they like both chakrams whiz toward Kane, who at the last minute just sort of like steps to the side and both miss, and they both like come back to Jing, who is now within melee range, grabs both chakrams and makes like an X formation like in front of their arms, and Kane just bends backward. Like JoJo posing, right? Like just all the way back and just completely dodges like this X of the chakram. And actually, like when they come back up, Jing sort of like staggers, is behind Kane now. And Kane turns, and in movement that I can only really describe as like dance, right? Jing sort of like makes this like sort of like undulation with their body, like they're opening a dance. And then they sort of snap their arm back, like they make a flourish. And I'm going to use the autocrit that we have on the table. Because I can use it. As they snap their wrist to the side, there's just a loud crack. Kane didn't even make contact with Jing, but Jing's head just cracks to the side. as Kane just severs their spinal cord. And Jing just falls to their knees, poof, and falls to the ground. Their chakrams, like, disappearing in a wisp of smoke. Eat both of them. And I feel like that's a good place to end the session, yes? Does that feel like a good stopping point?
Okay.
At the very end there, we unlocked our 25 sub goal. Thank you, Crude Imposter and Eyebright, which I think means it'll count toward Manaia's monologue for the top of next session. Because you're the only one that hasn't gone.
I wonder how Manaia feels about this.
This that she didn't see. She didn't see it. Yeah, she decided to walk away. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching that. We are going to be back with episode 6, where we're actually going to go into Klathau Jungle and figure out what the Sinister Carnival is all about, and hot, evil Kane, right, action. So join us for Arc 3, episode 6 on Saturday, June 12th at 1 p.m. U.S. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time, and 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Thank you all so much to everyone who's tuned in, to everyone who subbed, rated, followed, etc., and given bits, that hype train in the beginning. Thank you so much. That means so much to us. I have been Connie. I have been your GM and executive producer. My pronouns are they, he, and she. You can find me on Twitter and on Patreon at by Connie Chung. I just launched my Patreon. We are one patron away from me revamping Professor Chang's Tabletop Workshop, which is a monthly patron-only live stream where I field your GMing questions. So if you've got like problems in your home game and you're like, I don't know what the fuck to do about this, sign up to be a patron. I just need one more, and I will help you troubleshoot and also answer a whole bevy of other GMing questions and game design questions. So with that, I will pass along introductions to Devin.
Hello, everyone. My name's Devin. I use they, them pronouns. I'm the artistic director of Shout, Minnesota's trans and gender diverse voices in all trans choir based in the Twin Cities. Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica. I played V, your lovable anarchist chaos clown. And yeah, check me out, Erica New Girl, anywhere, including here on Twitch where I do stream. Check me out on Monday, 2:30 Central Time. I will pass it on to Max.
Hey, I'm Max. I go by they, them pronouns. I play Dewey, no single dad solidarity quirk. And you can find me doing my gay sewing shit on Etsy and on Instagram at Stitchmonger. Pass it to C.
Hey y'all, my name is Sia, use they, them pronouns. I'm a dancer, digital artist, tabletop streamer, and you can find me streaming here on Twitch on Tuesdays and Fridays at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have also just opened up an art raffle on my Twitter channel, or on my Twitter page, excuse me. So you can head to PieSharp Art to be entered into that raffle. You have to be following me, you have to retweet the tweet that I tweeted today, but I am giving away a full your character here art with your character's pride flag and a couple's commission for 1 to 3 characters for the first place winner. So if you're interested in some free gay art, go check me out on Twitter, which will be very, very cute. And yes, you can find me streaming on those days that I said. I'll pass it back to Connie.
Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We are going to start a raid for Compass Rose Productions. They are a queer-led TTRPG variety streaming channel. They currently have a special June Pride Month programming going on. I think this is their launch stream. So go show them some love. They're great. They're diverse. They're awesome. Use the raid message in chat. We love you all so much. Tune in next week. Follow us on Twitter, Tumblr, etc. And we will see you around. See you next week. For the next episode, what's gonna happen? Peace.